Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan.
I'm Eric.
And today we're going to tell you how we felt about all kinds of stuff. Eric and I watched a bunch of movies separately. I went to the theater for a couple things. I don't think you have any theatrical movies this time.
I was supposed to go see Suspiria, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate.
Weird limited release.
And you were going to... Yeah, I don't understand that. And you were going to come with me to Bohemian Rhapsody.
But I stayed back to watch Daredevil.
Yeah, to finish Daredevil, so that didn't work out. So that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would have liked that movie.
I suspect I would.
I don't think you would have.
It looked...
I think you would have liked the things I liked about it, but we'll talk about it
real
biopic-y,
Sheeny.
and by the numbers.
Sheeny is my word. Yes,
yeah, it looked bringing that up a lot. Yeah.
It looked really...
it is, and a lot of things get changed just to fit it into the formula, and or at least some major stuff get anyway. I liked it less after I learned things about the history, and that doesn't always ruin biopics for me, but it did this time. I'll talk about it later. Right now, Eric and I are going to tell you a little bit about Constantine, City of Demons, the movie. Eric and I, for a million years, have been reviewing these DC direct-to-video movies. We always do these.
This is the first one of these we've done, though.
Yeah, this is not exact. So here's the thing. I consider this a release like that because we watched it and it doesn't watch like a bunch of episodes of something like thrown together. It's a movie. And B, because Eric and I both like Constantine.
But we don't know that the other two don't do that as well.
We don't. And we didn't bother with them because I didn't think I thought they were called movies but wouldn't really function that way. I'm more curious about them now. I will watch one of them on my own and tell you how it is, probably. Because I'm a little bit more curious at this point, having seen this one.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody that didn't already know that this aired that way would think that this is anything other than one of those DC direct-to-video movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like most people would, people would know that.
So, like upfront top thoughts. This is a 90-minute animated film.
Yeah, and longer than these usually get than the other ones we talked about usually get to be because it's a different kind of project. But
this script, I think, is good enough. This could have been a live-action Constantine movie.
You think so?
I think, like, when I realized how long this was, I was like, oh yeah, this could have been the rebooted movie. Yeah. It deals with his origin. Like, this could have been the first in a film franchise, I think it's that good. I think this would have been a fine... It's rated R. I think it's a fine... on a script level. I guess some of the special effects and stuff maybe you could have done, but, like...
It would have been a little bit harder with the demons and stuff.
Yeah, budgetarily, but, like... Especially
the demons wouldn't have looked as weird as they do, which would have been kind of to a detriment.
But if you did old school like puppetry and stuff, like Guillermo del Toro, you could have done like a $50 million movie for this.
That's true. That could have been really cool.
It could have been a real cool.
So that's high praise coming from you.
Yeah,
and we said the same thing about Suicide Squad, Hell to Pay.
Yep, that should have been
a live action movie. Yeah, that should have been the movie.
Yeah. No, I liked this quite a bit. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would.
Certainly, me too. Yeah. I know I stumbled a little bit earlier, but I just, we knew this was a thing that aired, like, in 10-minute increments online, and I keep avoiding those, but your average person would just pick this up, and they would never know any better.
And Just Like Dark did the like, Dragon Ball Z, like magic is energy beams. And I saw the trailer for this, and I thought I saw a bunch of that in there, and I was like, okay, so it's gonna, like, kind of be that graphic novel, but, like...
Well, you complained that Doctor Strange was too much that way.
Well, Doctor Strange just makes weapons. He doesn't even shoot energy beams. He just makes weapons.
Yeah.
It's really lazy on the magic.
But then it's not enough, like, incantations and things. And
right. Well,
this goes straight to that place.
Yeah, it's... Because Doctor Strange, I think, should either be trippy or occulty, or both. And I didn't think that movie was either. This is... There is no... I mean, I guess Hellblazer does go to, like, trippy places sometimes, but, like, I think of it as a very occulty thing. This is a very occulty thing.
It is.
The only criticism I have, and it's not really a criticism, is... It's still shiny, it's still more pizzazzy than what I think, like...
The magic parts are, but I feel like when we're on the street and stuff, it's about as dirty as it's going to be.
No, and that's what I mean, is specifically the magic is, like, we don't just make a pentagram with salt. It has to glow.
Okay.
That kind of a thing, and we would do that in a movie too.
But that's more dynamic.
It is more dynamic. Like I said, it's not really a complaint, but like just as a comparison to source material, the Hellblazer as a whole and the graphic novel itself is magic isn't flashy in Hellblazer. Yeah. Magic is flashy in this. That's not a problem with this product. It's more of a adaptation criticism before it's anything else. Yeah. It doesn't detract from this as a piece. That's my biggest criticism, though, is that the magic's flashier than I would like it to be. But that's it. Like, that's my criticism.
Did you?
It's a little Batman 89 with their gall, but whatever.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. We'll spoil this a little bit because we just always have with these. And I'm sure this has been out a while, so most people that watch this, if they care about it, will have seen it already. So I think people are going to want us to go to total spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen this yet and you're curious about it, we're both recommending it. I think this was actually quite good.
I agree.
I think it's a good representation of that character. I like the ways in which it's like both the comics I've read and the TV show. And of course, Ryan, what's his face? Matt Ryan.
The most generic name.
I know, and I can never come up with it.
Doesn't even sound British.
Matt Ryan is just gonna have like a Batman career with this, right? Where it's just they call him up every time, and this character's getting more popular.
I hope that this sells well and they can do more of these.
No, me too. This should be a series. This should be a TV show on DC Universe.
Yep.
That's what. This ought to be a pilot for that show.
Yep.
And this actually would make for a really good pilot.
It would. It would make for a great pilot. You could spin out of this really easily.
Although I'm afraid if you did that, the very next thing you would do is figure out a way in one episode to get Chaz's memory
That's
back.
what I was going to say. Is it has the Daredevil Season 1 thing where it's like, well, if we knew we were going to make more, we wouldn't have killed off Ben Urich.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. We're like, well, we wouldn't have done that with Chaz if we knew there was going to be more.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about this a little bit as an adaptation, because we read the comic this is based on, the graphic novel, and we reviewed that on the Comic Vault also. So we were both surprised by how much of a straight-up adaptation it was.
I texted you the day before we watched it, where I was like, I imagine it's going to be like the premise. Maybe.
The setup will be there, and then everything else will be different. And it is kind of beat for beat that story with some things added, and then a pretty different ending. I say a different ending, a different aftermath, right?
And Chaz's subplot is different. The girl is not there. We removed the girl.
Right.
That's
that he's having an affair with.
Yeah.
And also the ages are different, so it's his daughter in this instead of his granddaughter, which I like more.
Yeah.
But that's just because of when that fell in the comics. I think it
because they're both well past 40 at that point. They're pushing 50.
I'm not saying that you wouldn't do anything for a granddaughter necessarily. I'm just saying the stakes feel a little bit higher for him. It being his direct daughter, and it being like our family is barely holding together. Like I like that this happens to his daughter at a young age when he and his wife don't even know if they like each other anymore. That's what I like about it.
No, and there's I think the obvious place to go if you do a sequel to this is the thing that I don't think we've done in anything. I don't think it's in the TV show. John has a niece, and there's some really interesting stuff with that I think you could make a movie out of, where she kind of gets involved with the magic stuff, and his sister is like, hey, you need to sit down with her and tell her not to do this. I think there's a whole thing where they're involved with a kind of Christian cult thing. I think that could really easily be the second movie. And have a similar kind of a setup where it's a relative to John kind of.
Yeah. Well, and as you told me before, like it has to be personal for John to even care.
Yeah. Or someone has to have something over him.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest differences that I think is, I don't even know if I will say this. I'll say maybe an improvement, or just a different flavor that I think works just as well, if not better. So we keep the franchise thing. That's still there. In this, it doesn't.
You're talking about like the Soul franchise.
Yes,
thing.
Yeah.
With a demon that's because some people haven't read that book.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're talking about.
Or watch the video that we did. So the demon in this is setting up kind of like McDonald's hells. Where like he's setting up a hell franchise across America, and he's going to have this whole thing. In the book, my guess is it's L.A. because the movie's in L.A. In this, we have fun with the LA thing.
Yeah, we do.
We do old Hollywood. We do. The silent film thing is legitimately like fantastic. Yeah, I've never seen that before.
When you say McDonald's, like he makes it a Hollywood hell thing where it's like everyone wants to be in Hollywood. He's like exploiting people, making them, forcing them to be part of that.
Yeah, there's a thing like that in Angel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and the silent film thing felt like an Angel thing to me. I said that while we were watching. I was like, how did they not do this in Angel?
It was like you sell your soul for your 15 minutes of fame or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is not exactly what this is doing, but it kind of turns that into a metaphor a little bit.
Yeah. No, I thought it played with the fact that it's in L.A.
It's
a lot.
really
a lot
creative
more.
And really haunting. All at the same time, there's some really chilling stuff. I love what they do with the micro hell in his house in this, and that was the thing I was afraid that we wouldn't even adapt. And it's clearly the most interesting and potentially fun thing to bring to screen, and they did it. And this goes without saying, it more than earns the rated R.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not gratuitous about it. It knows what to do with that. It's just that mature of material, and it kind of goes, I don't want to say necessarily pushing envelopes, but it's not afraid of anything.
No.
It feels like it'll go anywhere.
Yeah. And we're real excited that we're an R-rated animated film because he can smoke a lot.
Yes, he smokes a lot, which I'm sure you were really excited about.
I was really excited. I really like that.
One of the things I really appreciated, we talked earlier in the vault about whether or not we thought people would appreciate this without the book, and we both came down on, like, this is very watchable without the book. You don't need it. But I think I probably enjoyed it more because things like it just adapts my favorite 2-page spread in that book and puts it on the wall. And once you see it, and like it changes it a little bit, but once you see it on the wall, it's like, oh yeah, that looks like a Gothic painting. And that's supposed to like represent what's going on there, but it's not exactly what's going on there. And then we like update it and modernize it more. And I thought that was a really cool use of comic panels. My favorite
updating thing is when John's like, you could have just texted me.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not a thing John would have said in the book.
I also liked what do I look like, Benedict Bloody Cumberbatch? That's pretty good.
Yeah, but can't you just magic them away?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was fun.
Which I'm sure you really appreciated because of your complaints with Doctor Strange.
Yeah. No, like, the magic is flashier, but it's not actually bigger.
This is not an action movie.
It's not.
I mean,
I really appreciate.
We've got kind of a car chase, and we do some actiony things, but we don't do superhero action. It's not a superhero thing. No, really.
Even like the god fighting the demons or whatever, like, it's a little actiony, but not like superhero actiony.
It's not choreographed.
Yeah.
And again, we do not real, but I mean, we do incantations and things. And it sounds like it does in the book. I mean, like, it's weird. Like, this has real reference for that material.
It really does. It really does.
A thing that I imagine very few people have read.
Do you want to talk about your favorite thing? Do you want to talk about L.A.?
Oh, yes! I forgot all about that! Yeah, there's a demon that's just the personification of L.A., or is it a god?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
It's the spirit of L.A.
Yeah.
It's the spirit of the city of Los Angeles.
And I kept wondering if we had those everywhere.
I don't know.
That was weird.
I suspect maybe.
But L.A. is personified as a woman?
Yep. Well, L.A. takes over different people's bodies.
Oh, that's right!
Because I thought it was Dead Man.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, is it Dead Man?
I was with you, and then it was like, no, it's just bizarre. It's L.A. I wonder if they got that from somewhere.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
I wonder if that's in something that you don't remember or haven't read.
It might be part of that Azzarello stuff, where he goes across America.
One of the best things about this is that it takes material that you don't need 90 minutes for, and it beefs it out in smart ways. It doesn't feel like it's just cramming and shoehorning stuff in either. I'm with you on the Nergal thing. I've got a couple issues with Nergal, but like, making him the same demon that was in that book, like pretending to be another demon, and then and like making that the big personal thing for John. So he's doing the same thing to another girl that he did with, is it Astra?
Yes, Astra.
Like, again, it's kind of Batman 8090. They won me over on it in the movie, I think.
What wins me over is actually the ending, where Nergal offers John
They
an
never win
opportunity.
me over on the he pretends to be a different demon thing. I don't like that, and I'll talk about that in a second.
No, and it's weird
That's
because...
bizarre. We should talk about that.
But no,
that's my biggest complaint.
The thing that mostly wins me over on it being Nergal and the demon, I can't remember if Nergal is the demon with Astra in the comics. I think he is. I think he is.
I liked his design.
Yeah, which is completely different. He's just kind of like a red guy in the comics. No, the thing that wins me over the most with that, and makes it not like Batman 89 in that it makes a character thing out of it, is at the end when his bargaining chip isn't just, I'll give you the girl's soul back.
Yeah.
I'll let Astra go free. And John chooses not to do that.
Yep.
Because John Constantine doesn't change. Ever. He was just like, nah, I'm fine. I'm doing the best I can right now, because you're going to be running around and that's not okay.
Yeah, I didn't even take it as John doesn't change, actually, in that particular instance. I took it more as, like, he's actually finally doing the right thing, as sad as that is, because he wants to, I don't know, that felt very TV show to me. That felt like what the TV show would have done. Where like, yeah, he keeps making the same mistake over and over again, but, like, he's... in the TV show, anyway, a lot of what he keeps doing is compounding problems, hoping to eventually fix the big mistake he made. And that would be his chance to finally fix that mistake, but he realizes, but at what cost? Look at all the other things that was like, how is that him refusing to change? Like, it seems like he's doing the right thing in that instance.
I guess.
Or at least the needs of the many thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? The refusing to change thing would be him actually not saving that girl and giving him two of them.
Well, I mean, he also compounds the problem by what he does to Chaz.
That's true. Because we have to hit him when he's down. That's what we always do with Constantine.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I think that's a great moment where he's just like, I guess that is kind of him where he's like, that would make me feel better, but this is good enough. This is a redemption enough. I think this is his exact words. But yeah.
Well, I mean, wouldn't he be causing way more problems if he took him up on that offer?
Yeah. Just to make himself feel better.
That would be the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
I mean, neither of them are good choices, but that seemed like the closest to a heroic choice you could make. But then you find out the really morally ambiguous thing he did because he takes something from Chaz in order to make all this work in the first place. So you find out, okay, he hasn't changed as much as we thought he did. That was how I read that. It was like, oh, look, he's changing. Oh, wait, look how he got there, though. At what cost? Well, the cost is Chaz's family knowing him. And then him knowing Constantine, which was convenient. Just the way that he immediately doesn't know Constantine after
as
giving
he's
that
explaining
speech.
it. Yeah,
that was too easy.
That was too easy, but I do like that. Like
I do too.
We would never do that with Chaz. Chaz is like one of the few constants in Hellblazer, but like that's a very Hellblazer ending.
One of the few constants in Constantine.
Yeah,
that's one of that's the big reason I say like this would be a good pilot if it weren't for that.
Yeah,
because you'd have to change that immediately.
Yeah, but I do like that as an ending. That feels very John.
And that was the kind of writing that made me like that TV show.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that it's DeMatteis because it writes like it's those TV show writers.
Well, and Goyer's credit as executive producer on this, so I saw his name in there.
Well, he made that show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
because I don't know who the other producers of that show are, but I wonder if it's them.
Yeah, good call. I don't know if you had that, but I saw a lot of remnants. Yeah,
no. It felt very much like the show. There is a thing that I think is actually done a little bit better here than I recall being, because I haven't seen the show since it aired. I haven't gone back to it. But I recall there's a very specific way that John talks. I guess it's just everybody talks in the comics that I always assumed was like British speak.
Mm-hmm.
He has a couple of those here. There's like an in it, and like in it is like how you end a sentence, whereas like almost like right, where like this is the best we can do in it.
Right.
That's a thing that shows up a lot in the books. He says that in this. There's one or two others where I'm like, oh yeah, that's how John talks, and I don't remember those in the show. That could be wrong.
Yeah, he had a real specific way of speaking in the show, and I thought that it was punchier and sharper there.
Mm-hmm.
And this, I don't want to say it was generically written, but more so than that show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we're still using Matt Ryan. He's still right for that role. but it's losing something in the animation, which, like, sounds obvious.
He's not saying his performance.
I know, yeah, I mean, like, I know you're not gonna get that, but I feel like his physical performance changes what he sounds like also. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that it's just missing something because I don't get to see his face. I'm saying that there's something lost in his vocal performance because he's not physically acting. I think he's such a physical actor that he's not doing enough to put enough energy in his voice. Mm-hmm. I'm glad we're still using him. I don't think Matt Ryan's a great voice actor yet. Mm-hmm. Is that a horrible thing to say? Are those fighting words? I don't think he's a great voice actor.
He's much better here than I think he was in Justly Dark.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Yeah.
I think he's getting better.
Just, I wish he had a TV show because he'd get used to voice acting. I just don't think he's done enough of it yet. Mm-hmm.
But you know, I really like this. I really hope there's more.
Real quick,
I want
to talk about my Nergal issue because it's my biggest, biggest thing. And I should also say, one of the things that's impressive about this is the characters that they change, and I don't mind it. They they add different characters in place of people in the book, and I like them both. I was kind of fine with all of that. With the Nightmare Nurse and
yeah, she was fun. I don't know if we get exactly a payoff with her. She's just like something that John brings in.
Yeah,
she's there.
She just sits there and helps.
She's there so we can do the John backstory. That's why she's in this.
Yeah, and because it wants to have more female characters, I think.
Yeah, which is weird because we lost one.
Well, maybe that's part of why they did that.
That might be.
We lost one, so we. But anyway, but she had a cool design and stuff. And she's new for the comics recently, and I didn't know about her. So
I didn't know her either.
I did think it was really funny that she kept wearing that really distinct blue nurse uniform, and I just kept waiting for somebody to be like, yeah, that's not what the nurses wear in this hospital.
Well, she has two of them. She has one that's more scantily clad and one that's still scantily clad but not as much. When the doctor came in, she has a stripper nurse and a naughty nurse outfit, and then she would always switch into the naughty nurse outfit when the doctor came in, which is still not what those nurses wear.
No, they wouldn't be wearing that. And then we see her demon form, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they do a thing in this that seems to be just for the people that read the book, because it plays as a big surprise turn, which I guess it still is because you're not expecting the creepy fat demon that has the that has the Soul McDonald's house, as Eric likes to call it. You're not expecting him to turn out to be the demon that hurt John in the first place, or that took Astra, but it's really a surprise if you've read the book because you think they're two totally different entities. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, you still sort of think that, but I'm just saying, I've experienced that character, and I didn't expect it to turn out to be this other character. Mm-hmm. And I just thought that was a really strange choice. Where that reveal happens is kind of arbitrary. Mm-hmm. He's already making John work for him as this other entity.
And he's like, oh,
and then when he comes back, oh, by the way, I'm Nergal. Surprise! And I'm just like, why didn't you just surprise him with it in the first place? Would he have been less inclined to work for you in a forced way with holding a thing over your head if he just thinking he wasn't Nergal? And it wouldn't matter because you're still holding him to it. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand that, and I thought it was kind of a strange choice to try to figure out a way to merge their motivations, to try to sandwich those together. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. It works better than I'm surprised it works as well as it does. Mm-hmm. But they feel like two totally different kinds of entities to me. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's weird.
So we just give him the same motivation.
I don't know what he gains by pretending to be a different demon.
I don't either.
Because, one, he just reveals himself. It's not like John figures it out. And two, he's already got John over a barrel. What? If John had showed up and he was just Nergal, would John have been like, nope, even for Chaz's daughter, I'm not, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But also, he doesn't seem like his style. Mm-hmm. Pretending to be a jokier, more, sadistic in a different kind of way, liking movies and stuff. It doesn't seem like his style.
Mm. No, it's
why does he do that?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
So, I had a hard time with that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But if they had just not had him pretend to be that other demon and then try to organically make him interested in that stuff, maybe it would work okay. Mm-hmm. But it's just I'm looking at this totally other personality. Mm-hmm. That was strange.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything do that.
Yeah. I can't think of anything either.
So we're going to move on now to some other things. We're both feeling this one a lot. I thought this was pretty great.
Yeah.
And makes me more interested to look at those other things they made. They might be terrible, but
I wonder if DeMatteis wrote either of those. I don't think so, because the Vixen one, I think both Vixen and Ray are like the CW staff people. I'm not sure.
So, I mean, I'm not expecting those to be good, but now I can imagine they're probably at least movies.
Mm-hmm. They probably watch better as movies than as the 10-minute things, because they probably feel like a movie split into multiple 10-minute parts.
I can never tell you where the breaks are in this.
There's only one, which is when we do the flashback with John. It's long enough. I'm like, I bet you that was an episode. That's the only one.
Sure, but it wouldn't jump out at you if this was supposed to be a movie in the first place.
Yeah. If I didn't know, but that's my guess. Is that at least that segment? I'm pretty sure that's an episode.
Eric, I have two biopics I want to mention briefly. I would say that and then I talk too long, but I don't want to talk real long about these. Partly because one of them I saw like 3 weeks ago, like immediately after the last omnibus I went and watched. I went and watched the first thing, so I mostly just want to bring it up to recommend it. So I saw First Man.
Yes, you did,
and really liked it. It's really good. It has pacing that takes some getting used to because it's not what I expected. That movie is really deliberately paced. It's slow paced, but for good reason, and it's very much a character piece, but with a lot of like scientific jargon and stuff. Like it spends a lot of time on a couple of mission scenes, and it feels like it could be more about that than it is, but it's kind of more about just putting you in the headspace. Excuse me, of Neil Armstrong, of our protagonist, and we've complained about that with movies before, like Dr. Strangelove, where we were like, why do we have all this jargon constantly? I think it's really effective in this because it's that kind of like bold new frontier. We don't really know what we're doing. We could die at any time. Of course, people do die. And space is scary, and isolation is scary, and all of that. I'm mildly claustrophobic. That bothered me a little bit.
Well, and I have that specifically with space.
It got me. It got me in that movie because the close quarters and the way it's shot, you feel like you're really there. That movie is shot meticulously to feel as much like home movie footage as possible. Kind of, and I don't mean that it feels like it's shot with like a home movie camera.
Doesn't have like grainy filter over it.
No, it's nothing like that. I just mean like it's not. A lot of it's not like of the. They're either a filter or it's just not of the film quality we usually shoot with. Now it feels like a relic in a little bit. I mean, like it's really well produced. And it's not trying to feel like a found footage movie, but it's shot a little bit like a documentary.
It's more like guerrilla filmmaking.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and that's just a really effective choice. It has the best score I've heard this year.
Oh,
and
who does it?
And I have nobody I was familiar with.
Okay. I didn't know if it was.
I don't think. Let me look it up again. And I have listened to it on its own, which I don't always do. It is the best book reading music I've found in a while. I keep listening to it, and it's Justin Hurwitz, and I looked him up.
I don't immediately know that.
3 weeks ago, so I don't remember. I'll look him up here again. But I was really impressed with that soundtrack. It's kind of minimalistic, but it's got a couple of melodies that really stick with you, and I don't know, it kind of helps to create the mood from Moon a little bit. It has that mood a little bit, which might be an obvious comparison, but it does kind of have that. And it is an extremely visceral movie. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to look this because you asked. It's all Eric's fault. Whiplash and La La Land.
That makes sense because that's the same director as both those films.
Yeah, and he's been working very recently, only in the last 6-7 years. But anyway, yeah, it's character-wise, it's mostly about Neil Armstrong feeling like really isolated from his family because his daughter dies at the beginning, and not knowing how to talk to them about mortality and death and what he does for a living, but he like really throws himself into his work, and you kind of wonder if he maybe sort of has a death wish, all the way through it. And like all he knows how to do is work and take these major risks, and those risks are a lot of why the mission's successful. But you also feel really bad for his family because he won't talk to them, and he puts up a wall between him and his wife, and that feels really super touch and go the whole time. And it's one of those movies where you're really sympathizing with a guy who's really little spoken and hardly ever says anything. It's a really somber movie. Just with that premise, like we're gonna make a movie about the moon landing. You expect one of two things. You expect either like kind of an Apollo 13 kind of epic, or you expect a kind of more like down to earth character piece. And this is that, but I was surprised by how like I said, kind of sad and somber it is. Where it's like we have this major accomplishment, and it's great and wonderful, but it was really scary getting there, and like here was the cost of it. The Buzz Aldrin is played by the villain from Ant-Man.
Oh, okay.
And he's in the first season of House of Cards. He's wonderful there. That's where I first saw him.
He's the main character in The Strain.
Oh, really?
Yes.
He's a great actor. He's really right for that part. One of my few criticisms of this movie is, and I can't speak to like what it gets right or not from history because I just don't know the history that well. But as I always say, like as a, I don't even want to say fiction because I don't know how close it gets, but just as a story based on a real thing that actually happened, like I was mesmerized by it. But my one real complaint about it is just that we don't get more interaction between those two, between Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin, and I'd like to know how how Neil Armstrong feels about Buzz Aldrin, because he gets added a lot later, and he has like a completely different way of looking at things in philosophy, and he wants to be an astronaut for a very different reason, and I don't mean to say that he's like super self-aggrandizing, but he does seem to like the attention, and he does like being a public figure and all that, and that's the exact opposite of Neil Armstrong, and so they're interesting to compare, but we don't spend a lot of time doing it, and I wish it spent more time with that, but it's wonderful. So I probably flipped this already, but I'm filling it on that. And then I'll go ahead and talk about Bohemian Rhapsody for a minute. So I thought that movie was better than it is until I started thinking about it, and I did like a tiny bit of cursory research, because I like Queen's music. I don't mind saying I never knew a whole lot about the band and the man. I really didn't. Like, I had always heard that Freddie Mercury's background was really interesting. I never watched any like VH1 specials on him or anything. I just didn't know a lot, and like I knew he died of AIDS, and I knew he was homosexual. I didn't know anything about the history with his fiancée, and that he almost got married, and that he
I was under the impression that he wasn't gay. He was everybody. He was one of those people where like he would sleep with anybody.
Yeah. So and that was just the thing I did, like I didn't know that. So I knew I guess I thought he was homosexual, but that's all I knew, right? The movie plays it like he's maybe bisexual or he's just not sure, is kind of how it plays it. Where he's supposed to get married to the love of his life, and he thinks she's the love of his life, but then when he goes on the road, he has tendencies toward men, and then he can't marry her because he also wants to sleep with men. And I just don't know if that's really the case. So, a lot of my review is, I don't know what the movie gets right. I know about some things that it gets wrong now because I've read up on it some, and I don't want to care, but the movie's kind of formulaic, and so I do. Like, from what I'm hearing, and I just want to read up everything I can on the man, because he sounds really interesting, and he sounds more interesting than the guy I saw a movie about, which is unfortunate. I told my dad about some of the things they changed, and he was like, but that movie writes itself, my dad said. He was like, Freddie Mercury was so interesting, you don't need to change anything. You just put it on screen, you're done. And it seems like it was really watered down so that it could fit in the really typical formula of the band that gets together and then falls apart and then gets together again. And that's the movie in a nutshell. That's kind of what it is. And like, there's some interesting things in the middle that make you want to read up on the man, but even not knowing anything, some of it rang kind of hollow to me. Like, I was interested in how much of a risk taker he was, and I was interested in his constantly trying to find himself and not really knowing where he fit. I was interested in, like, the band of misfits thing, where, like, we're all super famous and rich now, but we still don't feel like we belong anywhere, and the idea that, like, we make music for outcasts and people like us, which makes them less detached and out of touch than your average famous person would be, because they can still relate to people that nobody understands. I like that, and you know, the idea that that Freddie Mercury is just constantly trying to find himself and never quite does that. The thing that rang kind of hollow for me is I never understood where the art came from. And you obviously you don't always know that. Like, sometimes it's raw talent, but like, what is Freddie Mercury writing about? Like, I'm not saying that the movie needs to analyze his work, but I wasn't buying, for whatever reason, that the guy I was seeing was writing those songs. I just wasn't buying it. And then I read reviews later that said this movie doesn't understand what made Freddie Mercury special, and I say, me neither. You know, and like, that's kind of rough. The performance is brilliant, but he doesn't have the material to back up the performance. There's some great stuff in it. I mean, I think it's really well shot. You know me, I like Bryan Singer as a director. So Bryan Singer famously either got fired or walked off the project. I'm not totally sure.
What I heard back in December when they were shooting is that he stopped showing up for work and they replaced him.
Yeah. I heard that he, like, that he didn't always show up, and then they just fired him. And there were people he didn't get along with. I think maybe he didn't get along with the star. Okay. I'm not sure. What I didn't know was that he shot most of it. I think I read that the producer that came in and finished directing it, who was slated originally to direct it in the first place, it's finished up by a guy that was gonna do it, I guess. But I think he only shot for 2 weeks. I think, and like, Singer shot most of it. Okay. And you can see it. Like, it looks like a Bryan Singer movie, for better or worse. Like, there's things that make that a really good thing, and there are things that make that a really bad thing. There's some weird organizational choices. There's some, I don't know. I agree with the reviews that say that it spans too much time. I don't think it needs to be a 15-year movie. Like, I do. I think it spans a little bit too much time. Maybe you could open with a flashback and jump forward, but it is like the history of him with Queen revisionist between, you know, when he gets with the band up through 1985 with the Live Aid concert. I will spoil it a little bit. I'm sure a lot of people have seen this already, and this is a movie I imagine a lot of people won't care about spoilers with. So if you don't want to hear any more, lukewarm feeling it. I'm liking it more than a lot of people are. The sign flip is hard. Like, I don't think it's great, but I kind of enjoyed it while I was watching it. So I don't know. It's a hard sign flip. It's worth it for the performance. I mean, I think people really need to see it for that. What's weird is the best scene in the movie is also almost superfluous and, like, kind of disingenuous. So this will be the spoiler part. So the one of the big like most famous moments with Freddie Mercury is the Live Aid concert, which was a huge benefit concert that, like, everybody and his dog was involved. Like, everybody performed on it, and they got Queen there, and it's considered one of the best. His portion of it considered one of the best live performances of all time. Okay. And they built the movie around it. Like, it opens with him walking up to the stage for it, and then you get the movie, and then it's the last 20 minutes of the movie.
It's like Walk the Line.
Which I've never seen.
Okay.
But the Live Aid concert, his portion of it was like 24 minutes. It's 20 minutes of the movie. They cut out 4 minutes, but it doesn't feel like they cut out 4 minutes. It feels like you saw all of it. They cut 2 songs because you saw him perform them live earlier, so they just don't include them. Queen has a lot of songs. I would have just done other songs earlier if you were gonna do that. But here's this is the big thing that's got a lot of Queen fans mad, and that's got a lot of people flipping their signs red on this movie. This is the big thing, is that in the movie, Freddie Mercury finds out he has AIDS, and he tells his band, and like, they're not performing together for a while. I don't know how much of this actually happened. They're not performing with each other for a long time. And he's gone off solo, and it's that typical thing where it's like, well, I'm going off on my own, and they think he's just doing it for the money, and they were never happy with how much they were getting paid, and with how much the band was becoming just the Freddie Mercury band, because, like, they all wrote. You know, and like they were all Queen. Like, you wouldn't have Queen without any of them, you know? And so, anyway, he goes off solo for a while, and then he's you know, kind of bent and broken, and is you know, majorly on drugs, and he's not doing well, and he kind of comes back crawling to them, and he really wants to do this Live Aid concert, and he gets them to agree to come back under some conditions. One of them being it's a you know, 4-way split evenly now, and we credit every song as Queen and not just as us. Again, I don't know how much of this actually happened. And then they start practicing together, but they hadn't played together in years, and then they're about to do this Live Aid thing, and he tells them at a rehearsal that he has AIDS, and then they treat the Live Aid concert like a last big hurrah or something, and he goes up, and the band knows he has AIDS, but nobody else does, and so he's just like playing his heart out like it's the last time he'll ever play. And the movie's not saying it's the last time he'll ever play, but it's treating it like this big, huge, important moment for all of them. He wasn't diagnosed until 87, 2 years after that, and that's all made up. And that felt disingenuous to me.
That's fair.
That's not a thing I would have messed with.
No, that's fair.
And this is, again, coming from someone that doesn't really care if you change things and you base a... Because I'm all about story, but it's not a great story at that point, because that feels really typical to me. It feels almost like Disneyifying it or something. So yeah, I'm with people. It's one of those few things where I'm liking it less after the fact because I learned things. Like, ignorance was bliss. But like I said, I started looking up things because it felt something was ringing hollow. Something was ringing not true for me, and that's why I started looking into it.
Well, that's when you know a biopic's not working.
I would have been more harder green had I reviewed it that night.
Okay.
And then I started thinking about it, and I was like, something's off about this. So yeah, I agree with people that are saying like the definitive Queen movie has not been made yet. You had the right guy playing him, and it's just not a great script. Also, I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's a brilliant cameo from Mike Myers.
No.
It's awesome.
Okay.
Can I tell you about it?
Yeah.
Because I don't know when you're going to see the movie.
If I see it at all.
Can I tell you about it?
That review. Yeah.
No, Mike Myers plays the record producer that listens to Bohemian Rhapsody and doesn't understand it, and says no one would ever rock out in their car to this. That's pretty great.
That is really great. Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
There's moments like that that are great.
No, that's pretty great.
And he disappears in it. Like, it's hard to tell it's him.
He's been doing that a lot lately.
Yeah.
I think Inglourious Basterds is the first time I'm like, wait, is that Mike Myers? He's having an interesting career right now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But anyway, so I said brief, it wasn't. I gotta stop saying that word. Eric, you had something you wanted to talk about.
I got 2 things.
I think you have a couple things, right?
I have 2, yeah.
And then I have... Let me just make sure, but I have a request that I need to talk about too. So why don't you go ahead and do your 2? I just did 2. You do
Okay.
your 2, and then I'll round it off with a request. I have to talk about Naussica of the Valley of the Wind. Is the other thing I got to talk about. So go ahead.
So my 2 will be pretty quick. The first one is a weird thing to do. A couple of years ago, Vampire D, which is my favorite anime film of all time. The original Vampire D is my favorite anime film.
I'm going to ask you the question I always ask you. Should I watch it?
No. Maybe, probably not.
Okay.
The second one definitely, like Bloodlust. Most people agree is a better movie. I don't. Not even I don't. It's probably objectively a better movie. It's just, I like the atmosphere of the first one.
Yeah.
The second one's certainly a better story. But the first Vampire D is my favorite anime movie. Maybe my favorite animated film. I'm not sure. But definitely of anime is my favorite anime film. So it got re-released a couple of years ago on DVD. It had been out of print for a while, and they redubbed it. They gave it a new dub. And I have both Vampire D movies, or I still have it. But I had it in what I'm convinced is probably a bootleg thing. I bought off eBay years and years and years ago, and it just says Vampire D Collection. And
it just didn't look official.
Nah, have you ever seen a movie have you ever seen a DVD that has 2 movies on it where it pops up and you have to pick one or the other? And when you go into the menu for the first one, you can't get out. You have to eject the disc and put it back in and pick the... Yeah.
Nope, never seen that.
Yeah.
That does not sound fact to me.
No, it's probably not. But that's a copy I have, and that's a copy I grew up with. I've watched Vampire D since I was a teenager. I rented it from Netflix initially. There was just immediately something I was just taken with.
Remember back when we used to do that?
Yeah. So they did a new dub, and I needed a new copy. My copy, not even necessarily the original, but my copy has some scratches on it. It's probably not official. I'm not sure if I can even fix that. So I rebought it, and then at the very least, because I knew I was letting this movie out. I wanted to see if that dub was better, or if it was acceptable, kind of a thing. So I'm going to review the new dub, not the film itself. I love the film; it has its issues, but I adore the film. I'm just talking about the dub, the new dub, which is a lot of more modern anime namestays. The original dub is of its time.
Is Vic Mignogna in it?
Vic Mignogna, I don't think is in it.
I always have to ask that question.
No. So it's a complete redub, and the original dub is a streamlined dub, which is they did a lot of early anime movies, and I kind of like their dubs, but I almost ironically, borderline ironically, Demon City Shinjuku specifically, I do like ironically. That is a terrible dub, and I love it so much. Because that movie is just okay, but that dub elevates it to something that's truly wonderful to behold.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
The Jurassic House of
no,
dubs.
it's a great dub. It's so good. I've been trying since I watched this to equate this to something, and I can't.
Oh, wow.
I think this dub is probably objectively better. Okay. It is a better dub. If you were to experience the film for your first time, it is probably the better way to do it.
Do you have that nostalgia thing, or just I like?
It's not the same.
I can't have.
It's not the same.
Yeah.
And it's very weird. I'm trying to equate this to something where imagine because it's the same movie. Imagine watching the exact same thing, but it's different, and it's probably better, but it's different.
I can't think of anything else like that.
And so, there are characters who, have much more, authentic, nuanced voices, but it's not the, dumb voice that I've watched for 10 years. How do you explain something like that? How do you experience something like that? So I have this very weird reaction to it where I'm like, yeah, but it's not... It's not what it used to be.
Could you get used to it, though?
Yes.
On repeat viewings?
I think I could get used to it. I will not get rid of my original disc. I want to have access to that dub.
Yeah.
Which now you just can't.
Okay.
It does not list that dub as an option, which is unfortunate. At least for me. And I think for a lot of people of my generation and the one right before mine. The real people that came up with anime in the 80s and 90s. So it's a really interesting thing. The guy who does D is good. Probably better than the original guy, but not as good as the guy who does it in the sequel. I kind of wish it for the very least for continuity's sake, because Dee doesn't have recurring characters between the films. It's just Dee and his left hand. Dee has a face in his left hand that talks.
He has a talking
left hand. And those are the only two recurring characters between the two films.
Okay.
I wish they'd gotten the voice actors from Bloodlust.
Yeah.
Because I think that of the three voice actors, I think he's the definitive voice. And probably the definitive hand voice as well. I wish they'd gotten them back just for continuity's sake. Because then...
So they always use the same voice for the hand voice?
No, it's three different hand voices. That's what I'm saying.
I'm sorry.
I think the definitive voice for Dee and his left hand is the Bloodlust dub. It's just unfortunate that I just wish for continuity's sake that they'd gotten those two back.
Yeah.
Everyone else is better, specifically the villain. Count Magnus Lee's voice is substantially better. The original guy was fine, and they had... Auto-tuning's the wrong word, but they put like a distortion filter over his voice, and that was a weird choice. Yeah, they modulated his voice, and I don't know why. It was a weird choice. But the new guy who does Count Lee is phenomenal. He's really, really good. The new girl, if anime people will know as the voice actress from Nami from One Piece. If you watch One Piece, you'll know that voice. She was just different. It just took some getting used to for me. And I was also familiar with her voice from other projects. Whereas I discovered the original voice actress would later go on to be the voice of Rita Repulsa.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah. The only voice I actually have an issue with, well, there's two voices I can have an issue with, and interestingly, they both have Southern accents. There's a guy who's the mayor's son. His name is Greco. His original voice is awful. It's real 80s animation, like, hey kid, I'm bad punk. It's like that, like it's really bad. But for some reason they gave him a Southern accent in this one, and that feels off. That feels weird. Vampire kind of a Western. Like, I get why you do that, but like no one else has it except for the main chick has a younger brother. The original person that does this just kind of sounds like a raspy woman. He's like a 6 or 7 year old kid, and it just kind of sounds like a woman like modulating her voice a little bit deeper. This new one doesn't necessarily sound like that, but it kind of just sounds like a woman doing a Southern accent and modulating her voice a little bit deeper. I think it's a better performance, but the Southern accent's weird, especially because Doris doesn't have it. His older sister Doris doesn't have a Southern accent. That's weird. Also, I appreciate that they... it's not just a new dub, it's a new script. They completely re-scripted it. And it's an infinitely better script. Having read some of the books, it feels a lot more like the books. It actually makes me appreciate the film better. Because it does...
That had to be interesting, too.
Yeah.
Because you're seeing the same moving pictures, but the story's sort of different.
Yeah, or at least the interpretation of like the dialogue and things. There's things that's people felt more like the way we've translated the novels. I don't actually know if that's more accurate, but it felt more accurate to at least how I've read the novels, the way they've been translated. So that's interesting. The script is absolutely 100% better. It's a better script. And for that reason alone, if you've never seen it before, this is probably the better version to see because it has a better script.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a weird. I've never had this with anything else. I just kind of want to talk about it.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever experienced that.
It would be like if they redubbed like I don't know, like I'm trying to think of something that doesn't have a great dub. I can't think of I guess you could redub the Transformers movie. Like I'm trying to think of something that it would be like that for me. Or like I've seen Vampire D a lot. I watch Vampire D once every couple of months. I get the itch for it and I watch it. I'm very familiar with it, and it's very weird. I will green sign flip it. If you've never seen Vampire D, that's probably the way to watch it. It's like
if you went back, that'd probably be even weirder.
Yeah, if you start with this dub, don't go back. You're just gonna be like, oh, it's just terrible the anime dubbing. I know that I like the original dub because of the nostalgia.
And also, it's hard to get.
Yeah, that too. That too. Although I think the version on I think there's a version on YouTube. I think it's the. It's
okay.
But yeah, so that's that. The second thing I'm going to talk about is a film called Sorry to Bother You, which was interesting because I saw the poster for it at the movie theater, which is just this guy in a purple suit with a cell phone, like he has a bandage and there's blood. And I just thought it was like just the most provocative poster.
Yeah.
Like something about that poster, I was like, I don't know what that movie is, but I want to see it.
Yeah.
And then at work, we got in we have like a DVD that plays like a loop of trailers. And I kept seeing like glimpses of it, and I was like, I don't want to know what this movie's about. I just want to watch it cold. I got a little bit more of a sense of what the movie was about, but like not really. And I knew people that had seen the trailers that watched the movie was like, it's not at all what I thought it was. So what I expected the movie to be was almost like a Tarantino. I knew that he was a telemarketer. That's like the one big thing about the film I knew was that he was a telemarketer.
Well, also Neil almost requested it.
Neil almost requested it, but it was out of theaters before we could see. It was still in the
actually, he requested it first, and then he said, "Oh, you're not going to be able to go, so here's another thing to watch." But when I want to tell you this, when he sent me that message, this was back when it was in theaters, so, so a couple 3 months ago. At least. But he sends me that message, and at first I thought he was telling me, like, I'm sorry to bother you.
That's pretty funny. I knew he's a telemarketer. I assumed it would be a thing where, like, it's a telemarketer who, like, gets in over his head or something. Like, it would be, like, a crazy, like, almost like a Tarantino-esque, like super violent thing. That's what I was expecting it to be. It's not that. The cover has this quote. It has a bunch of quotes.
Yeah, I was imagining, like, Nightcrawler or something.
Yeah, it's a comedy.
Oh.
It's a comedy. The main actor, whose name I don't know off the top of my head, is in Atlanta. He's my favorite character in Atlanta. I didn't know that. Because I only watched Atlanta once. It was months ago. I had to have somebody tell me, like, oh, that's the guy from Atlanta. I was like, oh, I love him. He's great. He's great in this movie. His girlfriend is the girl from Thor Ragnarok. Turns out she can act, and she's really likable.
Oh, cool. Because you don't like her in that movie.
I really don't like her in that movie. She's these awesome. Every scene she's in, she has different earrings that she's handmade. The first ones, and I think they're the ones that are in the trailer. She has these big earrings that say "kill, kill, kill, murder, murder, murder," and they're awesome. All of her earrings are awesome. So I'm going to talk about this movie and spoil it to a point.
Okay.
And there's a point where I'm not going to spoil it. So there's a quote on the cover that's one of the most accurate quotes I've ever seen on a movie cover, which describes as weaponized hilarity.
Wow.
This is a furious movie.
Interesting.
It's about the battle between the upper and lower class. It almost feels They Livy.
Wow.
It's not as genre as that, and that was the other thing, was I kept waiting for a big genre thing. There's kind of a genre thing, but not as much as I thought there would be.
So is it just like a sort of heightened world, or...?
It is.
Okay.
And the big plot twist that I am going to reveal tells you how heightened the world is, but also, I was talking to someone about it, and they're like, yeah, I buy that. I was like, yeah, I know, that's what's terrifying.
Wow.
So the main character lives in his cousin's garage. Like, he's renting the garage room, and like in the opening scene, he's with his girlfriend, like they're about to sleep together in the morning, and like the garage door just pops open. There's like people driving by, and he has to pull it back down. And he's 4 months late on his rent, and like there's this whole thing about there's this really interesting conversation where his cousin is like. Where he's like, you make all this money, you don't even need my rent money. He's like, yeah, but I owe money on this, and he says something about the car, and because he gave him the car, and he's like, yeah, but it's a piece of crap. He's like, okay, I'll take it back. He's like, well, no, I need it. He's like, yeah, of course you do. Like, there's a really interesting dynamic of money going on, where he's poor and he's living in someone's garage. But the person that owns the house isn't actually any better off than him, and it might lose his house.
Yeah.
Like there's a point where they have a conversation, and he's like, honestly, even if you gave me the 4 months rent that I'm owed, it doesn't help me at all. I'm so in debt.
Wow.
And it's a lot of poor people, and so he goes and gets this job as a telemarketer, and he's really good at it. Dan Glover is there.
Wow.
Yeah, just hanging out, and he teaches him how.
He shows up in everything.
Yeah, and he teaches him how to do what they refer to as a white voice. So he calls and he's like okay at telemarketing, but then he starts doing this voice where he is overdubbed by Patton Oswalt, and there's another character later
really funny.
that's overdubbed by it's David Cross. No, he's David Cross. Patton Oswalt is later. He's David Cross. When he talks and he does his white voice to be more appealing to the people he's calling, he's David Cross, and like he's like killing it. There's this whole thing in the background about this company called Free something or something Free that are doing something. Like with the homeless, and like there's a lot. They're basically opening low income housing.
Okay.
But that something's happening to those people, and like there's like people are trying to get the secret out about what's happening at these low income housing facilities. And there's a whole kind of revolutionary thing that's happening at the telemarketing where they are him and all of the other employees are kind of picketing. We should be paid more, kind of a thing. And I think the company's being bought by someone, and like a major person comes through, and they all just like stand up and start shouting and like raising their fists and everything. Like you can't get rid of all of it. You can't get rid of your entire workforce, like that kind of thing. And so there's this kind of carrot on a stick that's being dangled in front of everyone, which is a power caller. If you are good enough at your job, you will get promoted to being a power caller. And there's this whole thing about like power calling's not real. No one actually becomes a power caller. That's just a thing they say to motivate us. And the main guy gets called into an office, and he tells him to screw off and F you, and like you can't fire me, I quit, kind of a thing. And he's like, no, you're not being fired, because his boss tells him clean out your desk, and he just goes off. He's like, no. You're being promoted.
You're going somewhere else. Yeah.
You're going to become a power caller. And this is the twist of the movie that I will reveal.
Okay.
Which is...
So that is a real thing.
It is a real thing. Slavery, weapons, and there's a third one. All telemarketing. They call foreign dignitaries at like optimal times to sell them slaves and weapons. And there's a third one. I can't remember what the third one is.
Was this the thing where your friend was like, yeah, I buy that?
Yes. Right? Does that sound crazy?
I want to say yes. I mean, I do. I want to say yes.
But can you?
No, especially because we outsource so much stuff to private companies anyway, and that would be a real, like, under-the-radar way to do that. Man! Well, that's disturbing.
Yeah, and so this creates this interesting dynamic where everyone he knows that also works here is like picketing and boycotting, like working here. But he got promoted and he's making money now. And so there's this whole thing where like he crosses the line, right? Like there's the riot, and like he crossed the line to go to work, and somebody throws something at his head. It's not a gunshot wound, which is what I immediately assumed by that poster. Someone throws something at his head, like traitor. He's now on the other...
It's not heavy the way you thought it would be, but it sounds heavy.
It is heavy. It is very funny. It's a very enjoyable film. It is heavy. And it is dealing where he's like, look, I will support you guys. I support everything you're doing, but I'm making money now. Like, I'm getting the opportunity to get out of my situation. I hope you guys do too. The thing that makes it even worse and makes him kind of a sellout is what he's selling.
Yeah, of course.
And he tells his girlfriend about that, and she's not happy about it.
How can you be part of that?
Yeah. But
then you saw how he was living, and you can't help but sympathize.
And it's also he also has kind of the rationale of like, well, someone's going to do it.
Yeah.
Then you meet Arnie Hammer, who is the spirit. Who I've only ever seen him in the spirit. I thought he was doing a voice. Oh no, he just sounds like that. Arnie Hammer rolls into this movie as the owner of that free company, right? He's amazing.
Really?
He's so much fun.
Wow.
And then it gets uncomfortable. There's like a party, and he... one of the things that this movie kind of talks about that I think is interesting with the main character is he kind of fights back against the idea or image of like black being an identity. Like there's a scene early on where one of his friends is like, white people do make their noodles like this, and black people make their noodles like this. And he's like, that's dumb. I make my noodles like that. And so he goes to this party, and Armie Hammer is like, rap for us. Oh, you can rap. You rap for us. He's like, no, I listen to rap, but like I can't rap. And then he puts him on the spot in front of this whole party and makes him rap. And it's horrifying.
Wow.
No, it's a really, really powerful movie, and I really
it sounds really thoughtful about stuff.
Yeah. First-time director.
Wow.
That's
ambitious.
He's a musician and does... And I thought he was a rapper.
Can he rap?
He might be a rapper. I just want to look him up real quick.
Okay.
Because what he's done before this is film scores.
This is the second racially uncomfortable thing you've reviewed this year.
What was Get Out was
Get Out. Yeah.
This one is compared to Get Out on the box. It's like
oh, weird.
Get Out for something I forget like this is Get Out for the whatever audience.
Does that bother you?
Because it's not only in that I don't think this film is as racial as the other one was.
Okay.
The other film is very much about that. Here, I think there's elements of it that's in his character, but it is very much about just poor versus rich.
It's a class warfare thing.
Yeah. It talks about it as much as it needs to in that the main character is black and deals with some of those things, but I don't think it's completely about that.
You can't tell that story probably without doing that.
Yeah. So let me just look this up real quick. I do highly recommend this. Like it's one of those movies where I feel like they didn't know how to end it. And so it's one of those movies where I really like it until the last 2 minutes. And even that is partially because I thought I realized where they were going. I was like, okay, I know what the twist is. But then there is no twist, and then there's kind of a twist, but it's not what I thought it was. He gets offered a deal, and I thought the big twist was going to be, oh, he took the deal and this was all part of it. It's not. I can't really explain it.
Does it feel like the kind of thing that you might appreciate more on a second watch?
Possible.
Or maybe it did need to go that way and you just had to see it twice?
That is possible.
Okay.
I don't know. It felt like they had a great idea
because
for a movie.
I felt weird about the end. I don't mean to keep comparing these; they're not the same thing. But I felt weird about the ending of Nightcrawler, which everybody heralds as a masterpiece, and I feel like I need a second watch before I can decide if I'm right about that or not.
Yeah, it's possible. It feels to me like a movie where they just didn't know how to end it.
Interesting.
God, I'm trying to find the movies that he did. He's it's a writer director. He did both of it. His name is Boots Riley. He is an activist and a rapper, and he has his fingers in a bunch of things. I think he's also a producer. Let me see if I can find immediately what he's done.
And I don't know if that movie performed because I only heard about it from Neil.
I'm not sure. I could have swore that I found out that he did. I looked him up. I was like, oh, he does movie scores. I can't immediately find any movie scores he did. But he is a rapper. But this is his first film. As far as I can tell, it's his first writing credit. He wrote and directed it. It's really ambitious. It's really good. Wow. I highly recommend it. It feels like a genuinely angry and thoughtful thing about. I feel like right now there's a lot of white noise. Where everyone's saying kind of the same things. And I'm not saying that this is necessarily saying different things. It's just doing it better, and it feels more passionate. It doesn't feel like
it should cut through it.
Yeah. It just I don't know. It's very provocative. It is as provocative as I thought that poster was. It's really
but a completely different thing.
Yeah, a completely different thing than what I imagined from that poster. But no, it's everyone should go see it. It's an R-rated movie. It's the right sensibilities. It does turn.
Thoughtful adults should see it.
Yeah. There is a genre component to it. I will say that.
Oh, interesting.
But it's not as weird as I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be almost dimension hoppy. And part of that's because of what was in the trailer. There's this point where he picks up a phone and he drops into people's houses.
Oh.
And again, I watched the trailer without dialogue. I was like, oh, it's like a thing. No, it's just how they chose to represent calling telemarketing. He drops into their home.
Okay. So it's not literally happening.
Yeah, it's not literally happening. And I thought that was going to be part of the movie, which is part of why I thought it would be a genre thing. There is kind of a genre element to it, but more near future than it is like science fiction fantasy. But I highly recommend. Sorry to bother you. It is a shame it got a limited release.
Yeah.
It should have been bigger. I really liked it. And I think it's going to be a cult classic. Like, I think that's the destiny of this film.
Yeah.
And I hope that Boots Riley does more movies. Because I don't know what this made. Like, I don't know what it was expected to make. I hope he does more films, because I will see them. Especially if he writes and directs them. But yeah, so I highly recommend. Sorry to bother you. I'm feeling it.
So on Patreon, Caleb recommended Naussica, The Valley of the Wind. And I'm finally getting around to that, so sorry I'm late on that, but I just watched that. And that is an anime film that came out in 1985. It's a Studio Ghibli thing. I guess it's their first. And you're right.
I believe that is correct.
And
as far as I know, it's his first, like, I have complete creative control. I know before this he does Castle of Cagliostro.
That's Miyazaki, right?
Yeah, Miyazaki. I know before this he does Castle of Cagliostro, which is a Lupin the Third movie. It's like a franchise movie. And he does, like, animated episodes. As far as I know, this is the first, like, I have complete control, I'm going to make the movie I want to make kind of
I'm not being hired to do a thing.
Yeah,
I'm making a thing.
Yeah.
And this is the third movie of his that I've seen. I saw that World War II thing with you.
Well, that's not him. That's a Ghibli film. That's
his
not
studio,
him.
but he didn't make
Yes.
it. Okay, so
Yes.
I've only seen 2 movies of his.
Yes.
I saw Spirited Away is him, right?
Yes, Spirited Away.
I saw Spirited Away when it came out
Mm-hmm.
years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I've now seen this. That movie blew me away.
Really?
Yeah, it's really good.
Okay.
It's Ghost in the Shell good.
Okay.
I would say it's probably the best, like, environmental message movie I've ever seen.
Okay, that's one of the things that puts me off about him, is I feel like he shoves environmental messages into his movies.
It works in that.
Okay, interesting.
It works. And I'm not going to say it's not maybe a little bit heavy-handed in places, but I don't know how you tell a story he's telling that way, man.
Sure.
Like, I mean, without doing that.
Sure.
It's like really sophisticated Ferngully, but in the future.
Is it everything Avatar should have been?
Yes! Absolutely it is! Absolutely it is! No. So it's classified usually, apparently, as an epic fantasy. It feels like an epic fantasy, but it's science fiction through and through.
Okay.
It's set 1,000 years in the future.
Like Dune.
It's very Dune-ish, which is why I think they got Patrick Stewart for the redub.
That makes perfect sense.
And I'll talk about the redub in a minute. But and it's interesting that you talk about a redub, because what I watched is a redub. So it came out in '85. The new dub came out in '05. They shot it in '03. It came out in '05. And that cast is fascinating, and I'll talk about them in a minute, but first I just want to talk about the movie. So it's set 1,000 years in the future, and it's after we have polluted the world beyond being able to breathe in most parts of it. And so our main characters live in the Valley of the Wind, which is a place untouched by the toxins of the toxic jungle, where Naussica, our protagonist, who is wonderful and I love her, and she feels like one of those characters that should be like a real permeating kind of staple of animation. It really feels like to me she's she's a really like proactive character, and she takes a lot of risks, and she's really super likable. And I know that this was made in Japan, but like in '85, it just feels like a real kind of progressive thing where it's like where it's like, yeah, we have it's like really strong female character, who cares when we talk about it. And she goes out into,
which is pretty big in anime at that point.
Yeah.
Like we're doing a lot of those around that time.
Yeah, well, and like most anime films I've seen center around female characters.
Yeah, Ghost in the
I actually
Shell.
can't think of a lot that don't. Metropolis.
Metropolis.
I mean, like a lot of. Metropolis also has a main male character too, but like a lot of anime films I've seen are female protagonists. A lot of anime series I've seen are male protagonists or a duo. Things like Full Metal Alchemist and things like that.
Which is written by a woman. Interestingly.
Yeah. That's the thing I didn't put together until just now, but like I've seen more TV shows that are male characters and more films that are female characters. I don't know if that's interesting to anyone. Anyway, and I've never seen Akira, so there you go. But so
I want to read that with you before you see the movie.
Okay. But
I want to go through Akira.
I've honestly been waiting because I just expect someone to request it at some point. That's one of those things I'm surprised I've never gotten a request for.
I really like to do the mangas before you do the movie.
Sure, yeah. And I don't mean to be like that where it's like where it's like someone's going to request. Like, I'll watch that at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it. But that's one I keep thinking somebody's going to ask for that at some point, and it hasn't happened yet. But we did get Ghost in the Shell at one point. So no, we just did that.
We did Ghost in the Shell for the movie. Yeah.
That was before we were even taking the request. I think.
It was before the omnibus.
That was a long time. By a lot.
Yeah.
That was back when we still used to go to the.
How you felt about it was just a show.
How we felt about it was just a show. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah.
So Naussica goes out to explore. She's real adventurous. She just doesn't really seem to be scared of anything, and she is this eternal optimist who believes in nature. And there are two other city-states that are at war with each other, and one of them is real oppressive, and the other one thinks that it's more democratic and benevolent. But the big thing that they have in common is they both think they need to destroy the toxic jungle and like have man kind of retake his rightful place as the dominant species on the earth. And the people of the valley don't believe that, or at least Naussica doesn't, and her mentor, Lord Yuki, I think his name is, who is Patrick Stewart, also doesn't believe that. And what we find out is that Naussica has the science to back it up. She doesn't just believe in this like it's a religion. She's been doing all this secret research where she's grown plants that grow in the toxic jungle in an environment where they thrive and they're not toxic. Because everybody thinks it's the plants that are toxic. And that if we keep letting the world evolve the way and there's these giant insects that kill people. There's huge insects. It took me 20 minutes before I was totally positive we weren't on an alien planet. No, it's Earth. There's all these alien-looking species because these beings have evolved to live in the toxic jungle. It makes a lot of sense that insects would thrive, right?
It sounds like it's also the movie that After Earth should have been.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah.
It's similar premise. So they come back to Earth.
Okay, yeah, sure. But yeah, so, and I guess Wall-E does this okay, but it's with robots.
Well, it doesn't have monsters and stuff.
It does have monsters and stuff, yeah. But anyway, so that's true.
So well, anyway, it's more trash than pollution.
That's right.
It's just there's no space for us anymore. Whereas this sounds like it's like a mutation.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah. And so the idea is, the central idea of the piece is we have to figure out how to be one with nature. We can't just tame nature. We're part of it. And you've seen a lot of things that do that message, but I just think it does it really effectively. Mm-hmm. And I like that you have all these different perspectives on it, and like I don't think anybody on the other side of her is super two-dimensional about it. You get why they feel the way they do about it, and you're 1,000 years removed, so none of these people saw it happen. They're just experiencing the consequences of it, mm-hmm. And so they're just making a lot of the same mistakes that got us there in the first place and would probably lead to our destruction. And she's out there getting the real science. I just love that. And then the Patrick Stewart character's whole thing, and he's like a master swordsman. He's a total badass, and which is super fun. And he goes out into the forest trying to find ways to survive, but he doesn't want to destroy it. Like, she's, at first you think she's just exploring, she's just adventurous. They're actually kind of after the same things, but you don't realize it. One complaint I have, maybe this makes sense on a second viewing, I'm not sure, is I don't know why she keeps it a secret. I don't think he knows what she's doing in her kind of laboratory, her kind of outdoor laboratory, like nobody knows about. I don't know why she's keeping that a secret. Maybe she just doesn't want to get anybody's hopes up. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But anyway, she finds out that it's the soil that makes it toxic. It's not the actual plants, and so she thinks that she can recreate that environment, and it is a really epic movie. I mean, there's these fantastic battles that are on the scale of Transformers '86. And that level of detail in the animation, it's just absolutely gorgeous. It's extremely captivating, and the score is gorgeous. It's got a really, really memorable soundtrack. The new voice cast is awesome. Mm-hmm. It's an all-star voice cast. it took me a while to figure out when that came out because I kept finding things that were just listing the English voice cast because it wasn't released here for the longest time. We got a cut up, watered down, made more for kids version that was the reason that after that Miyazaki said never again can anything be cut out of my movies. That was the movie that did it. And that for the longest time was all we had. So when you see a list that will show you the Japanese voice actors versus the American voice actors, there aren't two dubs. I said redub. It's the first dub. There, as far as I understand it, like there wasn't another dub because the original version wasn't released here. Mm-hmm. And so you'll always see that new voice cast because we didn't get one until 05. Mm-hmm. So there's a character in the Valley who's this real big gruff guy who looks a lot like Edward James Olmos, and they just got Edward James Olmos. It's hilarious, and he's great. And what's cool about it too is it does. I don't know if this makes any sense, and I've not watched as much dub stuff as you have. Mm-hmm. It sounds like it could have been 1985 if you didn't know the voice cast already. Like, it doesn't sound...
Well, both those guys were around 85.
They were. It doesn't sound super updated. Like, something about the quality of the recording, I'm not saying, like, it's bad quality, it's just something about the way they recorded it. It seems like they took great care to try to make it sound like what they might have done with it back then. It doesn't sound like a real recent updated thing, if that makes any sense at all. And it's a pretty natural dub. Mm-hmm. It doesn't feel very often like characters are talking too fast to fit in the mouths, which is often what will happen with.
Who does Naussica herself? Is it anybody?
An actress I had never heard of.
Okay.
And I looked her up, and she was in a bunch of stuff I've never seen.
Okay.
She sounds a lot like Summer Glau, and I thought at first it was her, but it wasn't.
Interesting.
No, the thing that made me realize that couldn't have come out back then, and I had to go figure it out, was that Shia LaBeouf is in it, and he's 2 years younger than I am. He wasn't even born when this movie came out. So I was like, well, we have Shia LaBeouf in this movie, so I had to go figure that out. And he's pretty good in it. This would have been the same year. This would have come out the same year that he was in Constantine.
Okay, that makes sense because he's doing Even Stevens right before that. So because I think Disney does all of their dubs. I'm pretty sure Disney does all the Studio Ghibli dubs. And
Uma Thurman's in it.
Oh, interesting.
And she plays the lead general of the oppressive group, and it doesn't sound like her at all. Like I never would have guessed it.
Interesting.
That's who it was. I couldn't tell. She does a great job, but I couldn't tell it was her. But yeah, I don't want to give anything else about it away, and we've gone a long time on this segment, but I just recommend it to everybody. I think it's wonderful, and like I said, I was surprised that I wasn't that I didn't feel too preached to, even though it's kind of a preachy movie, but it's. I don't know, man. It sucks me up in the world, and it's like if I have to have an environmentally preachy message, or in a movie, I want it to be like this.
Okay, so
and you're right. It is Dune-ish.
Okay,
most certainly.
So my question.
Yeah.
Would you let your kids watch it?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I got 20 minutes in and was kind of wishing that they'd been there.
Because Ghibli movies kind of ride that line because they're Japanese. Like some of them are more violent than I think some parents would let their kids watch.
Yeah. And it does get a little violent, but I don't think too much so that I wouldn't show it to my kids. No, I wanted to rush out and buy it as soon as I saw it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Does it make you more interested in seeing his other films?
Not really, just because I know he doesn't go to a lot of science fiction places, and
he is more traditionally fantasy.
A lot of that, yeah, or just kind of like regular real life with like a fantasy element. He seems to do a lot of that. No, it was just it kind of pressed more of my buttons.
Okay.
Than I'm pretty sure most of his other movies would.
Okay.
Just having, like, I don't know, I haven't seen anything else, but like I've seen the list of his movies, and I know some of the premises. But
I was just curious.
That I'd like to see in the theater. I wish I had waited for you and had you watch it with me. I think you'd like it a lot too. I'm telling you, it's Ghost in the Shell good.
Sure. Well, and you probably just missed it being in the theater because they've been doing the Ghibli thing all year.
I know, but if they do it again, I will.
You should take the kids. That's how they should see it, right?
Yeah. No, it would look brilliant on a big screen, certainly. But yeah, I was floored by that. It was great.
I would go see Vampire D in theaters. I do not think it would look great on the big screen.
Really?
Well, I mean, the first one is specifically made. It was a direct-to-video thing, so like,
Well, no, obviously this was meant to be theatrical.
On the other hand, I would definitely go see. Like, I want like you have no reason to ever watch that second one, but like if you were to watch one of them, you should watch the second one. It's a gorgeous film.
Well, that's going to do it for us for how we felt about. This went longer than I had intended it to, but anyway, thanks a lot for... Yeah, we did quite a bit. So, we appreciate it. We're going to go on now on the omnibus to the Daredevil Season 3 spoiler cast. That's the next thing, and then we're going to do a couple more TV shows on Primetime Crisis. We'll do those a little bit shorter. It is getting late in the morning shooting, so I know some people are going to hope that we do a long spoiler cast for Daredevil Season 3. We're probably going to cap it off about 45 minutes. Maybe half an hour if we can do it in that, but I know people are going to be upset with us if we do it that short. But we've just got a lot of things to do, and I don't know how this show got as big as it did, but we just had a lot this week, so...
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, folks. If you, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to want to do that, if you want to watch the Daredevil Season 3 spoiler cast, and it hasn't gone live on the channel yet, just keep the playlist rolling, and you can see that on the Omnibus. And in the meantime, thanks a lot for watching this video. I'm Captain Logan,
I'm here.
and we'll see you soon.